You're listening to the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. Now here's your hosts, Kevin, Derek, and Alex.
Alrighty, welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. I am Derek, and joined as always by your co-hosts Kevin and Alex. Gentlemen, how we doing?
I'm doing all right. The countdown is on because after tonight, you guys only have to deal with me doing a crappy internet hotel stream 2 more times. I'm excited.
Yeah, you're probably. We are less excited about your crappy internet hotel internet stream than you are probably to not be in a hotel.
Well, that too. So, but no, man, I'm good. Watching. What was I watching?
What are you guys watching?
Game.
Yeah, well, hockey, college baseball. Are you guys watching college baseball at all? It's fun.
No, honestly, I've been so tied up with work. I haven't seen a lot of the daily stuff. Like, I didn't watch any of the NBA All-Star break, of it, and I've heard from numerous outlets that it was just trash. So I don't feel bad about that. Honestly, I've been trying to just
catch 500.
No, I was hanging out with the kids, so I didn't do that, and I don't know if hockey and football. I've been saying it for a while now, right? The older I get, the more I get into hockey, and that's kind of all I care about. Like, I'll catch like 2 minutes of a college basketball game, and then I'm like, meh. Professional basketball game, meh. Tennis, hell no. Like, I mean, I still like this indoor golf simulator. Like, I still like that, but I'm never watching TV when it's on, apparently. Like, I always miss them.
I've not watched any of that live. I've had plenty of people. Excuse me. I've had plenty of people tell me it's pretty fun and pretty entertaining, and it kind of scratches an itch for people who not just golf fans, but live sports fans, because it is unique and different. And
yeah.
But they are golf fans who have kind of told me, like, hey, you got to check it out. Yeah. Hockey, I was able to catch some of the 500 on Sunday because it went so long. I wasn't going to catch any of the 500, but it was delayed by rain, I assume. I don't actually know why it was delayed, but the missus and I went to a wing place to enjoy some dinner on Sunday, and I was like, hey, can you guys put the race on? The Daytona 500. Would you mind flipping this MLB Network TV that's showing a movie to something that's got live sports?
Yeah, but Rookie of the Year and The Sandlot,
I know,
playing back to back like every other night. I tell you what, I did watch the other night, which was it was on the MLB Network, and it was something about Greg Maddux. I don't know what it was called, and I don't know what series it's a part of. Like, I was at a restaurant bar just watching it and reading the teleprompter going through. And the more I understand in my adult years about Greg Maddux, the more he particularly makes me like baseball again. Like, he was an absolute surgeon, and no one quite understood it in the 90s, and now that we're looking back at what he did, holy smokes, was he just a phenomenal mind and pitcher of the game.
Yeah, I like that you called him a surgeon, because the other word that I would use to describe him is menace, because he was just so good at what he did that he is one of those pitchers that, like, I really wish I would have paid attention more when he was pitching. I don't know that I would have appreciated it anymore because I was so young. But man, what a great talent he was.
Yeah, I spent most of my youth cussing him because growing up as a young kid in Ohio, I was an Indians fan. And so him and Schmaltz and Glavine, like, I dog cussed the Braves because they cost my Indians a World Series. Like, I don't know. Going back and looking, it's phenomenal. So that answers your first question. That's what I was watching. That has been what's impressed me most this week in television.
That's fun. Thursday is USA Canada, and I'm looking forward to it. I was at an event Saturday night, so I couldn't watch Saturday night's USA Canada Four Nations game, and I was really upset that I didn't see that because while I'm at the event, I have very little service in this place, and I get a notification from ESPN that's like 3 fights in the first 9 seconds, and I was like, "Oh my god, what am I missing? Like, why am I here right now? Why am I not in front of a TV?" So that was kind of disappointing, but I am hoping I will be able to be in front of a TV Thursday night with no distractions, and everything will be great, and I can watch USA Canada.
It's funny to see the US's narrative of how that went down.
Yeah,
and I want to see Canada's narrative of how that went down, because all people want to talk about is the fights and the US setting the tone and everything else. Like, the US went down 1-0 pretty quick.
yeah.
Like, they had these fights and then they went down, and then they came back and took the lead 2-1 and then got an empty netter there at the end, right? Like, I mean, it is not that we just steamrolled Canada the whole game, but all the reels have been dubbed up and changed over, and they're entertaining, yes. But the game flow, as I just watched the minutes being recorded, is the U.S. did not have a great first period outside of those fights. Like, they went down, kind of came back, and then they kind of found their footing. But it was not the pure dominant butt whooping that the internet trolls of Canada would like for you to believe.
I don't know. It's pretty cool to see USA fight, celebrating a goal with flipping Freebird playing in the background. Like, that gets you fired up. That's pretty fun.
Yes. No, yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's funny. Alrighty. Real quick, we got a couple of comments coming in here. Let's go ahead and hit these up. We got the beautiful bearded over on YouTube saying hello, everybody, and Chris KT saying that boys won the league and the Eagles stomped out the Chiefs. Let's go. So Chris is very excited.
Congratulations to you, Chris.
Absolutely. No easy feats, right? Winning fantasy football leagues is not simple. And if it is, you're most likely playing in the wrong league. Like, you want it to be competitive. You want to, have that itch that you gotta get there, and then you want to do it again.
Yeah.
That Chase Brown stash paid off. Heck yes, it did.
Yeah.
Heck yes, it did.
So, some good stuff there. Real quick, because we're going to get into a way too early 2025 mock draft. And
way too early.
Yes, way too early. But when the itch is there, you scratch it a little bit, and we're gonna scratch that itch tonight. So, yeah. So with that being said, and what will be really interesting is when the auto drafts and the computer search drafts and these things off of the 2024 ADP, because that's what's still up there. But anyway, the
I think I wish Sleeper did faster. Like, I love the Sleeper sites, and I would love for them to want to be a sponsor and partner up with us, because I love their site, and I do the vast majority of my leagues through them. But I do wish they would turn over that data sooner, to be able to kind of see what people are doing and what people are thinking for 2025, and start to compile all those drafts and all that data.
Yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, you're good. And then Chris also saying that the only wins in the home league were in 2017 and 2024, and the Eagles won the bowl when he wins his league. So that's some good info there. Chris, let me know the next time, when you're in like week 16, 17 and you're going to win that one
for you.
Yeah.
If you wouldn't mind phoning a friend.
Yeah, might just might look at a few things on some future side of things there. So
might have to test the theory.
Yes, exactly. The odds would be far better at that point too. So anyway, caught in a thought there. We'll go ahead and move on there. There has been some news, some notes kind of floating out there in the league this week. Any news and notes that you guys want to hit up here before we start diving into a way too early mock?
Goodbye, Aaron Rodgers, at least from the Jets. So it'll be interesting to see if he's able to land a new team, and if he does, where that might be. I've heard very odd speculation, right? I've heard someone toss out the Raiders, and I don't think they're doing that. I heard someone toss out the Steelers, and I don't think Aaron Rodgers would stand for that offensive style. Like he would.
I think he and Mike Tomlin would clash.
Oh yes, I completely agree with that.
Like that
completely
just wouldn't work. Yeah.
Saw some reports the Steelers were going to pursue Daniel Jones this offseason.
I did see that come through. That one I think fits. That
Yeah,
I think does
I think
fit.
it does.
Like it's a serviceable quarterback who, can throw the ball a little bit, but he's not going to be asked to do a whole bunch. And the Steelers' offensive line will probably be the best thing he's ever played behind in his career. So maybe he doesn't have a straight case of the yips. And he's able to stand in there a little bit. Because Daniel Jones, I shouldn't even say he has the yips. If Daniel Jones has done anything, 23, maybe he looked like he was seeing ghosts a little bit. But every other year that he's been a starting quarterback, he has stood in and taken his legs. Like, he has really stood in there. And honestly, I think here's the comp for you. Shedeur Sanders and Daniel Jones. Prove me wrong.
I think I'd rather have Shedeur, I'm not going to lie.
Well, maybe.
I mean, but I don't know. Because, Daniel Jones, you guys remember this. Daniel Jones was like that sneaky, really, really good fantasy QB play because he would just collect, 40 or 50 yards of rushing offense every game. And every once in a while he'd fall into the end zone. But he was a sneaky good for a couple of years there. He was a sneaky good QB2 play in a super flex league. He certainly wasn't you weren't hanging your hat on a Daniel Jones performance, but he was part of that group. There was Daniel Jones and Kirk Cousins and just dudes that you were how are they upper end of QB2 right now? How is this possible that they're flirting with the bottom half of QB1? But they were it was one of those weird things. So Daniel Jones could run a little bit, provided he didn't trip up over the 8-yard line. And I do like that comp, Kevin. I think that's not one that I would have gone to, but I think it's pretty spot on because I think Shedeur can move around a little bit. One of the things that I've learned when we go through this next couple of weeks here, because I think the combine starts next week or soon, you're going to hear analysts talk about these quarterbacks and you're going to hear them say he can make all the throws. Well, no, duh. They're good enough to get an NFL tryout. They should be able to make all of the throws. That's the most basic part of the position, right? If you have an arm, you should be able to make all of the throws. What separates good quarterbacks from bad quarterbacks isn't the fact that they can't make all the throws. It's the fact that they're smarter than everybody else out on the field and they can anticipate what's going to happen before it happens. That's what separates quarterbacks. It's not because they can make – hell, Peyton Manning had one arm basically and led the Broncos to a Super Bowl with the help of Brock Osweiler, but led the Broncos to a Super Bowl win. So making all the throws isn't all it's cracked up to be. You damn well better make all the throws if you're going to be auditioning to be an NFL quarterback. So get that. Just when you hear that, know that analyst is just filling time because they don't know what their actual point is. They're just filling time. Oh, he can make all the throws. No duh.
Yeah, where the flip side of that you can actually hear some of these guys come through is, oh, he's got a big arm, right? that's something that can be, again, right. It's kind of a, not necessarily something that's real analysis there, but there are guys that out there that certainly have much bigger arms than other guys, right? Josh Allen had probably the biggest arm in that QB class when he came out. Right, could throw, there are guys that you have to worry about that they're going to throw the ball completely through a receiver versus some of these guys that, they can throw the ball downfield accurately 40 yards versus, the other guy can throw the ball downfield 40 yards on a frozen rope.
Right.
So,
anyways, before I got off on that tangent, Shedeur Sanders can throw the football well, but he can also move around well. And to Kevin's point, we don't really know how good of a quarterback Shedeur Sanders is because he really hasn't had the protection to show off his skill set and to show off his ability to read a defense because he was under siege virtually every snap. So I do like that comp. I think that's a good comp. And I think that in the wrong situation, their career trajectories, I say the wrong situation for Shedeur, their career trajectories could be quite similar.
Yeah, I'm beginning to become even a bigger proponent that that landing spot matters more so than most, especially in the quarterback position and the development there, right? Like I keep hearing all of these things, right? Like how often through these playoffs and all of that, and John Elway coming out, the biggest regret I had, and one of the things we missed on was not drafting Josh Allen in his rookie class. They drafted a bunch of other quarterbacks that didn't pan out. The problem is that even if they had drafted Josh Allen, who was there to develop? Who was there to bring that along? Josh Allen still took 3 years in this league to really take that ascension to what he is. And I don't know that. Yeah, I don't know that if he got drafted by Denver, we see the same ascension to what he's become.
I think situation, especially as you mentioned, Derek, situational matters so much to quarterback because here's your a recent example of it. Sam Darnold was cast aside in every situation he was in. The Jets, the Panthers, was he with the Rams for a little bit?
Oh, you're thinking Baker.
Oh, also Baker, but Sam Darnold did the same thing. Sam Darnold was with the Jets, was with the Panthers, was with somebody out west.
San Francisco,
thank you. And then lands in Minnesota, right? Is not supposed to be the quarterback there. He is not the heir apparent. They drafted J.J. McCarthy.
Right, to have a QB battle and that
Sam Darnold steps in and leads them to the playoffs and a legitimate, playoff contender. I wouldn't have called him a legitimate Super Bowl contender because it's still Minnesota and they're not allowed to have nice things there. But I think that they were a legitimate contender there in the NFC. So landing spot does matter for quarterback.
Right. And Baker, the other guy that you mentioned there, certainly same type of deal, right? Goes to Cleveland. Yeah. By the way, has winning season in Cleveland, takes him to the playoffs, wins a playoff game there.
Yeah.
Gets shipped out of town, goes to the Panthers. That doesn't pan out. Gets benched for Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
Leaves, goes to the Rams, comes in that crazy, cut by one team, comes in, plays a game like 20 hours later and leads that crazy fourth quarter comeback to win. To then go to Tampa Bay and, delivers 2 conference titles or division titles down in Tampa Bay. So very interesting, right? Like these are guys that, the situation didn't necessarily fit, but they found a fit for themselves and look at what they can do.
I think this is a great way to segue to what we're about to do, because man, does the situation matter when it comes to where these people are going to be. So let's draft a fantasy football roster, not knowing what situation half of these players are going to be.
Right. So, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to head over into the 2025 way too early mock draft here. And we're going to keep it pretty simple, right? We're going to keep it at a half point PPR, 1 QB, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 2 flexes, and some bench spots there. So nothing too crazy, and we'll get kind of rocking and rolling on that unless anybody has any other thoughts that they want to hit up here real quick. All righty, let's go ahead and hit it up here. All righty. So with this, we've got Alex is drafting at the 4 spot. I'm gonna take the 8 spot. Kevin's drafting on the turn there. Kind of a little randomized, just picking away we go there. And so we'll go ahead and get that going.
Oh, that's noisy.
Yeah, let's see if we can.
That's real noisy. I'm gonna turn that down. That was my phone, I think. All right, so pick 1 is Christian McCaffrey, which is wild. I don't think we're going to see that a lot next year. Justin Jefferson 2, I agree with that. Tyreek Hill 3. My choices here are CeeDee Lamb or Jamar Chase. I could go Bijan Robinson if I like running back here. And I tell you what, I think I do like running back here, so I'll take Bijan.
All righty, and after that, go CD, Jamar Chase, Amon-Ra St. Brown. That puts me on the clock at the 8 spots. Could go Breece Hall, could go AJ Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley. Garrett Wilson's out there. This is one of those that, I think that we just saw him have the career year that we're going to see him have there. But you know what? I'm going to take the chance that he runs it back there and has another really good year with Saquon.
I like that. So AJ Brown went afterwards, Gibbs and Hall. So sitting here at the turn, lots of running backs have gone, and more so than what I think we're going to see once we finally get into it. But that's okay. So I am going to be sitting out here and looking at this for the turn. I am going to grab Puka Nacua here with Cooper Kupp out of town. And the way that we've seen Matt Stafford hyper-focus in on his top guy, Nacua was that guy last year. So I think here at the back end of the first round, I feel really confident about that. And then getting into the top of the second round is kind of where some decisions need to come in. Do I want to mess with running back, maybe a Kyren Williams? I don't know that I want to stack the same team right there. So that gives me a little bit of hesitation. There's also Jonathan Taylor. No thanks. There's Devon Achane, Josh Jacobs. So I think for the moment I'm going to revisit the well here. And I think I'm going to go back to it, and I'm going to go to another guy who's hyper targeted. Really saw this the last couple of weeks of the season, and I'm going to go Drake London.
Interesting. Okay. So Jonathan Taylor, Travis Etienne, Marvin Harrison Jr. come off the board. That puts me back on the clock here. And, kind of where do I go? Could look at running back, right? There's some really good options there. With this the way it's going, there's certainly been a lot of wide receivers kind of coming off the board here, and it starts begging the question of which way do you want to go at that point. And so with that, I do think that I'm going to try and stay a little bit balanced here and look more at the wide receiver realm. Garrett Wilson would certainly be a strong option here if we had any idea who the quarterback was going to be. I did see a comment earlier that is Jordan Travis starting. I don't think the Jets know what they're going to do there. So putting me on the clock, you know what? I'm going to take a guy that's just very, very solidly puts up 10 plus touchdowns and 1,000 yards almost every single season. So we're going to go with Mike Evans.
Oh, that is not where I thought you were going to go. And that's really messed me up here. Okay.
You're welcome for some tilt.
I thought you were going to go with King Henry and Stack.
I thought you were too, man. You even with what you said, 10 touchdowns, over 1,000 yards. I was like, yeah.
I really thought about going to Saquon and Derrick Henry stack, but I'm like, I don't want to leave that up to what's going to be there for me at wide receiver in the third round. I have to sort that out.
That's what I'm facing right now. So after you take Mike Evans, Josh Allen goes. Derek is gone. We have no idea what's happened in the draft anymore on the draft board. Josh Allen goes, then it's Garrett Wilson goes, then Kyren Williams after that. So I have a choice here because Derrick Henry is sitting there staring me right in the face. I already have Bijan Robinson. If I do this, I'm gonna have to try and find some diamonds in the rough a little bit later on when it comes to my wide receiver group. But I think of all of the groups that I might be able to find diamonds in the rough a little bit easier, I think wide receiver is probably the position that I'll have the best opportunity and the most luck or the most chance at doing it. So I'm going to do it. Derrick Henry, which puts me at Bijan Robinson, Derrick Henry to start my draft. And
I like that stack.
That's crazy to me. All right. We're back around to me. After I take Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs goes. Devon Achane goes, Isaiah Pacheco goes, big run of running backs there. Turnaround into the third goes Chris Olave. Travis Kelce at the 3-2, I think is probably a little too soon. I don't think that Travis Kelce is going to be the first tight end off the board in a lot of leagues next year. But as Derek mentioned, this is 2024 data that's being used by these computers. So he is going to go early in a lot of these way too early mocks. Devontae Adams goes. So I'm back on the clock. I need a wide receiver. Like I cannot kick this can down the road anymore. And so best available at Brandon Ayuk. I don't know that I really want to touch that one. Deebo Samuel. I don't really know that I want to touch that one either. But what is a nice thing here, I've got Nico Collins and Stephon Diggs looking at me. I think I like Nico a little bit more than Stephon Diggs just because Nico's not coming off as horrific of an injury. So I'm going to avoid the two.
Well, we don't know where Diggs is going to go.
Right. We also don't know that. Yeah. So I'm going to take Nico Collins there.
Okay. All right. I like it. So at that point that falls back to me and I'm staring down that I can certainly kind of go whichever way that I want to go with Deebo, Stephon Diggs, and Brandon Ayuk all coming off the board right after your selection there. And this one here could potentially look at going with a quarterback here, right? Lamar Jackson's still out there, Jalen Hurts. So you've got that spot that you could get a difference maker at the position, but not really feeling the look-see at that one and looking to go there. This is one of those two that as you start getting into some of these things, you start looking at a few of these that, what is this really going to look like and how that's going to play out there. And I'm going to take a guy who, again, had another really solid season. This is one that I think we may see a little bit of touchdown regression coming. It's not often that you see the franchise record get tied up there for touchdowns, but we're going to go ahead and take James Cook right here.
Right on. So then Laporta goes. You got Hurts and Mahomes. I don't think we see Mahomes going this early after back-to-back kind of disappointing fantasy seasons.
Right.
Nevertheless, so ball's back in my court here. And I could play into the QB run. I don't think anyone would fault me for taking Lamar Jackson, but I don't think I'm going to just yet. So I am going to I think what I'm going to do here is try and create basically a hyper position of strength. And so I'm going to go with Malik Neighbors even though we don't know who the quarterback is. He had a really good rookie year. And I think we're going to see him add to that here in his sophomore season. So starting out pretty young here between Nakua London and Neighbors. I like that. Obviously, Nakua's had a little bit of an injury bug just from here or there, but that's all right. So now we're here on the turn. So where do we want to create a difference? And I think I am going to go Lamar here just because I know having him in third, I don't like the running backs that are necessarily sitting here that much. And so, yeah, I'm going to take Lamar Jackson right here and see if that'll boost my roster here for me.
Okay, I like it. And this is one here too that kind of at a spot that I could go several different kind of ways here, and I'm really kind of torn about how I want to look at this one, because I could go right. There's a running back out there that's still kind of a, lack of a better term, workhorse running back in the league, and not many of those left, right? Joe Mixon on the board here could really start off with Saquon, James Cook, Joe Mixon, to really kind of start that running back deal, get some depth there, got a flex position, can rock and roll that. And honestly, I think that's probably, that's where we're going to go. We're going to go ahead and go with Joe Mixon right here.
All right, so after Joe Mixon goes Cooper Kupp and Michael Pittman, Trey McBride goes. That's kind of a bummer because I was kind of hoping that I might be able to snag him. Not here in the fourth, but was hoping that he might hang on a little bit longer, that I might be able to turn around and get him here in the fifth. The other thing that I've been dealing with here is, okay, I think wide receiver is a position of need at the moment. But the wide receivers that are available don't really do it for me. So I think I'm going to look quarterback here, and it might be a touch too early, but I still think that I can get value later on with a guy that I'm targeting that I might be able to hang out for a round or two to wait on. So best available quarterbacks are CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson, Joe Burrow, or Kyler Murray. Man, CJ Stroud did me so dirty last year that I'm a little gun shy to take him. And granted, I don't think a lot of it was his fault. I think there were obviously a lot of other things that were going on. But I am going to take a guy that performed really, really well last year. And if they can get it all figured out, has the ability to perform really, really well again next year. So I'm going to go Joe Burrow here. After Burrow goes Kenneth Walker, Jalen Waddle, Mark Andrews, Amari Cooper, Devontae Smith, Zay Flowers, and here's where I was hoping I could get to. Now, I have the opportunity. I could take another Houston wide receiver. I don't really want to do that. I already have Nico Collins on my roster. T. Higgins is sitting out there for me. Again, I think that's not a terrible stack. Joe Burrow, T. Higgins. I kind of like that stack. It's not exactly the way that I was thinking I was going to go. Also, as we're doing this, I don't know if T. Higgins is going to be in Cincinnati when this is all said and done. So is it a stack, or is it just hopefully a really good wide receiver that lands in a really good spot? But I do have a little bit more.
Reports coming out earlier today. They're planning on franchising him again.
So will he be a disgruntled T. Higgins that will be playing under a franchise tag and not under a long-term deal? Which, I mean, there's something to be said about a guy playing for a contract, but the player that I actually really do like and had a great season last year with a rookie quarterback that I think will build upon that is Terry McLaurin. So that's who I'm going to take there.
I like that. That was one that I was actually looking at taking this time around here. So Alvin Kamara, CJ Stroud, Tank Dell, all coming off the board kind of right after that. And that leads me back onto the way to kind of rock and roll here. And so let's see what we're going to do here. We're going to look wide receiver here because we've already got the 3 running backs and the wide receiver out there. Certainly some good players out there, but I'm going to take a guy that had a really, really strong rookie season in Brian Thomas here.
I like that. Higgins, then Kincaid, Aaron Jones. So back to me here on the wheel. I'm sitting Nakua, London Neighbors, and Lamar. Again, I could really use some running back help here to start with, and I think I've found it, and I'm passing up other players that I really do like, but I don't want to get too short-sighted here. So we're gonna start with one David Montgomery, and I'm gonna follow that up with one Chase Brown. So gets me a little bit of volume work here, some touchdown upside with Montgomery to help my running back room since I started it so late.
Okay, I like that. You ended up leaving a guy on the board that I was really hoping was gonna make it back, and you had me a little concerned there when you were talking running backs. Bucky Irving is still out there, and that's where I'm gonna take that shot right there.
Yep, he was another guy on my short list.
So after Kevin's pick was Pitts, Swift, Anthony Richardson goes, Derek takes Bucky Irving, George Pickens comes off, George Kittle, Xavier Worthy comes off the board. That was kind of a kick in the pants right before I pick here. That would have been another really nice piece that I could have had. So I'm sitting here. My roster is 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a quarterback. So I'm very balanced at the moment. Now I think I can look at, what gives me the best advantage here, what gives me the best options. It maybe is an old school way of thinking, but I think you can never have enough good running back talent on your team. You can never have enough good running back depth. Is he a play every week kind of guy? Probably not, but he probably could be. So I'm going to go James Conner here as a nice depth piece, just in case Bijan Robinson or Derrick Henry isn't the option. So after Conner goes, it's Ramondre Stevenson. Keenan Allen comes off the board. Najee Harris. We are now into the 6th round. Christian Kirk goes in the 1 spot. Kyler Murray 2. Evan Ingram 3. Back to me. Again, looking at where I might be able to gain some advantage here. So this might be a bit of a reach, but I like the idea of a healthy of this guy being healthy in this offense, and I feel like it's a decent. I don't know that he comes back to me, so if I miss him now, I'm probably going to miss him for good. So I'm going to go Chris Godwin here.
Okay. Certainly a good call there, because that was one that probably would not have made it back to you. One that I was certainly looking at there. After Chris Godwin, Zamir White, Raheem Morris, and Jaden Reed all go off the board. Team 7 is a very very interesting thought process there. They must have missed the memo that there's other positions required. Anyway, that puts me back on the clock here in the 7th round, and certainly have lots of different places that I could go. But one guy that's out there that I think I am getting tremendous positional value by drafting here is Jaden Daniels. At this point, we're talking certainly a QB that is, let's see here. So Josh Allen was 1, 2.
I think.
He would be the ninth quarterback off the board, and a guy that provides you a little bit of rushing upside and the throwing ability. That's where we're going to go.
I I would agree. And I want to thank you both for handing me these gifts here at the 7-8 turn, because I think it's going to round out my starting lineup very nicely. I'm going to start with Brock Bowers, coming off an amazing rookie season for tight ends, and really just a tight end season all the way around. But he is kind of the only dog in town there for Las Vegas at the moment. So I'm going to take the feeding into that. And then I'm going to go with a slight dart throw, only slight, because we are waiting for him to come back from a bit of injury. But prior to his injury, was very much the focal point of an offense that we thought was going to be much better than how it turned out in 2024. And that is Rashee Rice.
Yeah, Rashee Rice was definitely on the short list here for this pick. So very nice job with that one. Calvin Ridley goes off the board. Jordan Addison, Nick Chubb. I'm staring down my roster here where I've got plenty of running backs with some good depth. Yeah, 2 wide receivers could probably use a little bit of help here at the wide receiver. And I'm going to take a guy that had again, another really good kind of rookie campaign where we ended up seeing him be a top 24 wide receiver. I think that we can see that rock and roll through there again. And as a third wide receiver, I don't mind adding Ladd McConkey.
I like that pick in the 8th a lot.
Yeah. All right. David Njoku goes after Ladd McConkey. Is that Brooks? Brooks, Carolina.
Yeah, Jonathan Brooks.
And then Dak Prescott goes after Jonathan Brooks. So it is to me here, and I'm fairly balanced at the moment, right? 3 running backs, 3 wide receivers. I've got my quarterback situation taken care of. So there is a bit of a look here of, okay, we're starting to see now 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 tight ends have come off the board. I'm getting a little nervous that if I don't get a tight end here, I'm not going to get a very good tight end. So I'm going to go with TJ Hawkinson here and try to get a little bit of a positional value there with the remaining tight ends, because aside from that, it's Jake Ferguson and Dallas Goedert. Those are probably my best 2 options. Pat Freiermuth in Pittsburgh. Those are probably my best options available still. So after I take Hawkinson, Jordan Love, Javonte Williams, Brock Purdy rounds out round 8. On the turn here at 9 is that Hollywood Brown, Jaylen Warren, and Gus Edwards go in front of me. So back to me. I feel like I can go anywhere here. We've got 4 rounds left. I have filled what I think is a great starting roster. So I'm going to look at creating depth. Obviously, I've got 3 running backs. I'll take a little bit of hopefully this guy can replicate what they're doing in Seattle. And I'm going to go Jackson Smith-Njigba here.
Okay. I like that pick.
Yeah, certainly a good one at that point. After Jackson comes off the board, Jake Ferguson, Austin Eckler, Devin Singletary comes off the board. That puts me in the 9th round here. And with the 9th round, again, a few different places that we can go here. But one name that kind of stands out here as a guy that has had some pretty good kind of back-to-back wide receiver positions here, and certainly has finished in the top 24 the last couple. And a guy that's in the 9th round, being able to add a guy that has the ability for season-long top 24 finishes as my 4th wide receiver. I really like the Jacoby Myers here.
Very good. I like that one as well. So I am going to continue to hammer wide receiver here, at least for this first pick, and a guy that I feel like has slipped down the board. We've seen him really take a step out here in 2024, and I think that continues. But I'm going to go with Jameson Williams from Detroit and get me another piece of that offense and how well it's been performing. And then the question begins. What do we need to do to kind of balance out a little bit of depth on the running back room? I am going to go with Chuba Hubbard out of Carolina. I think Jonathan Brooks, they're not quite sure if he's even going to make it back this season. And Chuba, at the moment, is the workhorse guy in Carolina. So if I can get a workhorse in the 10th, I'm pretty happy with that.
Oh, what a snipe. What a dang snipe. Oh, you son of a gun.
I like the fact that he somehow snipes you, half the way across the board.
He did.
Yeah.
But Chuba's way down there on that ranking list, though. That's a great pick.
Remember, you're not picking.
I know, it's a great pick. It's a great pick. In the 10th, that's a fantastic pick, Kevin.
Christian Watson comes off the board, Brian Robinson, Deontay Johnson. This is one that I'm kind of looking at this thing going, man, there's lots of different ways that I can go there. From what I'm seeing at this point, I'm just going to punt tight end, down the road, and we'll just kind of pick up whatever's there and play streaming tight end, which if you miss out on one of those top guys there, which I tend to do because I don't like spending that kind of draft capital. However, there is still some really good value across the board, both when you're talking on some running backs here, on some wide receivers here, even some really good value at quarterback here. But one name really kind of stands out, and that is Courtland Sutton, who had a just coming off another really good season, and I think we see that continue to grow here.
Yeah, so after Courtland Sutton, and Derek, you may need to move our pictures here. Tyjae Spear comes off, Tua Tagovailoa, and then Trey Benson comes off the board. So I had my last 3 rounds picked out wonderfully. They were wonderfully picked out. I was going to have Chuba Hubbard. I was going to have these 2 guys all lined up, ready to go for me. And it was cut and sealed. We were done. We were moving on. That obviously is not how this is going to play out. So because of, I like what my roster looks like right now, and sure, there are probably better picks to take here than what I'm about to do. But I'm drafting against 2 people that are really smart and 10 computers. So I need to defend against the fact that I'm drafting against 2 people that are really smart and 10 computers. And I'm going to go Ashton Jeanty here and break into the rookies because why the heck not? After Jeanty goes, Jared Goff comes off the board, and now I see my 2 co-hosts sliding over to the rookie tab to see what's going on over there. Jared Goff comes off, Dallas Goedert comes off, Blake Corum, Zeke Elliott somehow as we get into the 11th round here. Curtis Samuel, Romeo Doubs comes off, and because I did this right and did not allow my co-hosts to go over there and snag a rookie before I could get this second one off the board, I'll take Travis Hunter.
Well, you could have those. Yeah, you can have those all day long, my friend. But I'm sitting here and I'm looking at this thing going, you know what, if as Alex knows all too well, that sophomore slump can be real when it comes to the quarterback position. And there's a guy out there that, quite frankly, has had 2 top 10 QB finishes each of the last 2 seasons. And so I'm going to go ahead and just play this safe down here at the 11th round and go ahead and take Baker Mayfield.
I like that Baker pick.
11th, yeah.
So there's still many things to do here. If you're looking at running back, you're looking at J.K. Dobbins, Tank Bigsby, who kind of took the helm there in Jacksonville. You have Tyrone Tracy, who's a starting running back in this league. I hear that, and I'm going to shift in look at Trayvon Henderson out of Ohio State, right? Mm-hmm. So I'll put a little rookie there for late in the season to help me out. And I'm going to match that up. I'm going to match that up with his teammate out of Ohio State. And go with Emeka Mbaka. Am I saying that right? Igbuka? Yeah, I'm going to say I'm saying that right until he enunciates it at his combine, and we have to change that. But again, I'll take a dart throw at some rookies too late in the draft. That's fine.
All righty. And so after that, A.D. Mitchell comes off the board. Cole Kmet comes off the board. Trevor Lawrence comes off the board. And you know what? You guys have talked me into this, talked me into the rookie side of things. And so that's fine. We'll start looking at that. And so there's a, I keep seeing a couple of things out here as far as, where this one could go and some various things. But I've been hearing lots of really good things about a tight end out of Penn State. And we're going to go with the Warren pick.
All right. Zach Charbonnet comes off the board. Jerry Jeudy comes off the board. Rico Dowdle was who I was going to take here, but that has been taken away from me by the team in front of me here. So we pivot. Options here. Again, we've got a pretty balanced roster. A second quarterback probably wouldn't hurt. Unnecessary, right? Because it's a 12-team league. You're only starting one quarterback. Odds are you're going to be able to grab a quarterback in free agency should something happen to your starter. So is it worth spending a draft pick on? I mean, no more than it was spending a draft pick on Ashton Jeanty and Travis Hunter, but I did. So I think what I'll do is kind of, I think I'll defend against myself. I don't know. Let's see what they can figure out with the new offense down in New Orleans. I'll take Rashid Shaheed here.
I like that pick.
After Shaheed, it goes J.K. Dobbins, then Kirk Cousins, who is without a job, and Joshua Palmer rounds it out there in the bottom as the final pick. All right, guys. Thoughts on your team and how you felt it went?
So I really like my team. I like how it shook out. I'm extremely youthful, which
there you are.
Is not necessarily my forte at times. But Montgomery and Lamar Jackson, I think, are the two oldest players on my team here. Quarterback really doesn't matter. And then he's a running back in a timeshare. He just sees a lot of goal line work. So I'm okay there. I think wide receivers are going to anchor through my team. Obviously, the draft as a whole, the rookies didn't get properly implemented like we'll see them get earlier in the draft, right? Like Jeanty and Henderson and some of these other guys, we are going to see them, higher up the draft board than the last 3 rounds. But nevertheless, they made an appearance, so there's only going up from there. But overall, I'm super happy with my team drafting on the wheel and way too early, but I'm looking forward to 25. This is what my team's going to look like.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel pretty good about this roster as well, right? Like, not near as young as Kevin's roster there, but certainly have some youth and some experience there. Overall, I think that this is a very balanced team and really, kind of rounds itself out there. And then, when missing or when waiting on tight end, that's probably about the only weak spot on this roster that, there's with some of the depth that we have at both running back and wide receiver, could make some trades throughout this season, or just keep streaming the old waiver wire for tight end streamer.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty pleased with how balanced I was able to maintain throughout the course of the picks, and I didn't feel like I lost out on any players other than 2 that I maybe waited too long on, but I didn't think I thought if I took them when I needed to take them, it would have been too early, and it was a risk that they were gonna get back to me, and they didn't. But the Brock Bowers pick, I really like that pick by Kevin there. I took tight end that very next round, so that was one that I was eyeing, but I had an opportunity to build depth at wide receiver there, and I needed to do that instead of taking a tight end. But yeah, I'm pretty pleased with how that all turned out. I feel like there's some good pieces here. As you guys look at the draft board, is there a team that you like better than your own, or that you like as much as you like your own? I think Team 7 actually ended up having like kind of decent running backs after going wide receiver, quarterback, wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver.
Yeah, they got 3 backups.
They did get 3 backups, but I tell you what, they could flip any one of those wideouts for a decent running back packaged together.
Yeah, maybe. Ayuk and Tank Dell coming off really, not very fun injuries. We'll see where Cooper Kupp ends up landing.
I don't mind Team 2. I think they went a little early on Kelsey. Obviously, that's to be expected.
Went way too early on Waddle.
Way too early on Waddle and the Kirk Cousins pick at the end. But like all told, that's not a bad roster construct there.
He's a Devon Achane or Justin Jefferson hamstring strain away from being irrelevant. Is how I look at that.
Very fair. Yep. Yeah. Super high-end talent, though. Super high-end points if they stay healthy.
So, I don't know. I'm kind of selfish here. Like, I really like my team. I don't know that I would necessarily trade it. I think I could run into a season and at least feel like I'm in the conversation here to start with. And then obviously you see where everything takes place. But I like the upside. I like the youth. I like the second-year players getting ready for, breakouts or and that are in good situations here. So I'm going to let volume dictate my team. But I think I have a lot of volume on my roster, especially the first 10 rounds.
Yeah, fair enough. Alex, what about you? What thoughts do you have on some of these?
I think I again, like just super pleased. Again, there's a couple people. Honestly, it was Kevin that kept taking dudes that I really wanted. Malik Neighbors did not get back around to me. I was kind of hoping that he might. So I had to pivot there. Derek, I think you sniped somebody from me that I wasn't too pleased about. That forced me to pivot. Again, the Chuba Hubbard pick, I thought that Chuba Hubbard in the 10th there, that's going to be something interesting to watch as this offseason kind of unfurls here. Is like, what is the status of Jonathan Brooks? They can just run the tires off of Chuba Hubbard, because I don't know that he's their long-term solution there. If there is such a thing as a long-term solution at running back anywhere. But yeah, if I could start off every draft with Bijan Robinson and Derrick Henry, though, like I would be standing a little bit taller at the end of every draft.
That's funny.
Heck yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty great way to start a draft with 2 volume backs. That, man, you just don't know that that's going to happen. Here's this will be my last thought, and you guys can jump off it if you'd like, but we have seen kind of this transformation of the importance of wide receivers in fantasy football. Obviously, this is a half-point PPR, so that it does matter. But like 10 years ago, and I get that it's 10 years ago, but 10 years ago, first round and a half was like all running backs and maybe one or two wide receivers. Like that's how much this has changed. We've seen it kind of gradually change over time, and it's just really, really evident. And I think it's only going to kind of go more in that direction of these wideouts. That's the money position now, right? Like that's us outside of quarterback, which obviously is important, but for fantasy football purposes, it's wide receiver now. If you can hit on a good wideout, you have to like your chances.
Yeah, absolutely. We've definitely seen a shift as things have transitioned to a more pass-happy league, and you've seen more running back by committee, which I think is driving some of this as well, right? There's only a handful of running backs who are seeing, 70% of the touches or more. And those running backs are still going super early. I think Gibbs is so dynamic that he kind of bucks that trend, right? With sharing time with Monty. But other than that, you're looking through and McCaffrey when he's healthy, Saquon, obviously Derrick Henry. You have
Bijan,
who took a bigger role here in 2024. And then Kyren Williams, who's always seemingly on the field, even with Blake Corum. And we thought that might be a deal, and it just wasn't. Kyren still lived on the field for the Rams.
I'd say Kenneth Walker when he's healthy.
I mean, I would say Kenneth Walker when he's healthy plays into that, right? Like, yeah. And it's crazy in a sense because Charbonnet did show well. Like when Walker was down, Zach Charbonnet played well. It was not like it wasn't like Madison when he was backing up Dalvin Cook, right? Where we always wanted Alexander Madison to be good, and like 1 out of 5 chances he actually showed out. Like Zach Charbonnet has a hit rate of like 80% stepping in and being the lead back, as opposed to the 20% that Alexander Madison had. So eventually those two will get split up. I think this is the last year where the two of them will be together. I don't see Charbonnet wanting to play second fiddle anymore after this season. So it'll be interesting to see what Seattle does do. Here there's a team in Texas that's looking for a running back. So who knows? Maybe they'll try and make a play for one. But yeah, so
find a curtain first.
What's that?
Said they have to find a curtain first. Keep the sun out of their players' eyes.
Something like that. So, but yeah, that team has a lot of holes to fill and not a lot of cap space to do it right now. So, but yeah, so running back's definitely interesting. But when you get the right one or the right pairing, it makes all the difference in the world. And we've seen yet again that a guy that you can draft in the mid to late rounds, pick up off the waiver wire, like a Chase Brown, Bucky Irving, right, can be running backs that propel you to fantasy championships. It's not quite as splashy as Saquon was, or Derrick Henry could be, but these guys, for the value that you get out of them, are just as, if not more valuable in some ways, because picking them up in the 10th, 11th, 12th round or off the free agent, stash, or when people get frustrated and drop a guy, like they're difference makers. Like you just have to read the tea leaves a little bit.
Yeah absolutely. Any other thoughts out there we want to rock and roll through tonight?
No, enjoy the US-Canada game tomorrow. So as we continue to roll into the off season, right? We'll do some more mock drafts. Obviously, we have the Underwear Olympics coming up. Pro days have kind of, I think, all officially wrapped up, so they'll be done with those. But after the Underwear Olympics, then we'll be talking about rookie, and then we'll splash in some free agency too. Even though most of the free agency noise this year is not going to be as fantasy relevant. It's going to be things that impact fantasy in one way or another, right? Offensive linemen, pass rushers, some things like that. But guys that you draft in the top end are going to be scarce here in free agency this year. So I'm interested to see where some of these guys go, if they stay put or if they move on. But other than that, I think we're just going to have to kind of see how it comes to us, because there's no clear narrative to how things are going to drastically change from 24 to 25 as far as skill position roster construction.
Fair enough. Yep. Alex, any final thoughts out there for the viewers and listeners?
Enjoy the off season.
There we go. All righty. Well, that's going to do it for us tonight. And we'll be back next Tuesday, right before we see the Underwear Olympics kick off. And then after that, we're going to start rock and rolling through the rookies there. But that's going to do it for us. And hope everybody out there has a wonderful evening. He's Kevin. He's Alex. I'm Derek. Have a good one. Be safe. Toodaloos.